Hi, and welcome to today's episode of Live Healthy Now. This is the start of something very special. Today's episode is the first in a 4-week series for February, the month of love, that is sharing how anyone can change their life. Yes, that means you. So we're kicking off today with my story. How I managed to change my life from one of constant fear and anxiety, low self-worth and confidence, unhappiness and high stress, to a life that feels like it's mine. Now, I can't wait to share it with you and start connecting the dots to you, realising that you can also change your life. And you're going to know that you too can take steps to make the changes you want to make that just feel like they're so far from reach right now. So over the next 3 weeks, we're bringing some very special stories that I just can't wait for you to hear. These are the stories from 3 very different people who have each hit rock bottom in their lives for very different reasons. They're people like you and me. People who are very normal, very regular, who have worked their way back from the bottom to rise and thrive in their lives, to feel happy. And they've done this by taking care of themselves. Now, I don't want to give too much away, but each one of these incredible guests has learned that by knowing their worth and building their self-belief and self-love, they could begin to live a very different life to how their life was. And I'm bringing you these stories because the whole purpose of this podcast is to simplify what being healthy means. It's unwrapping the truth about what health is and showing you how, with very small steps, no matter what self-belief you have now or what your life is currently like, you can feel better when you put healthy habits into place. So I'd love you to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you get notified when the new episode lands every Tuesday morning. And I would love it if you could tell anyone that you think would benefit and enjoy our podcast all about it. My mission is to simplify healthy living and make it a normal part of life for as many people as possible, so they feel stronger, live stronger, and most importantly, feel they're living a happy life that they value and enjoy. So the more you share the podcast, the more people we together are reaching and helping to change the lives of. Now, it might be that you're here at the start of February, having set out with big plans and intention at the start of the year to make changes in your life. Changes that would mean come the 31st of December 2023, you'd feel good, satisfied, happy with how your year has been. Now, maybe these changes were things like losing weight, changing your job, setting up a business, starting a college or university course, even ending a relationship or wanting to get fit. Whatever your goals are, be honest with yourself now as you listen to this. What have you done to make sure that you're on track to have achieved them by the 31st of December this year? Did you set resolutions that are already closer to 2022 than where we are right now? Have you ditched those resolutions pretty quickly before we even got into Feb? Are you telling yourself that it's a waste of time because you'll never lose that stone, or save 5,000, or get that promotion? Have you given up because, well, it's just too hard? Maybe you're too busy, or you just can't do it because you're who you are and you're just going to stay as you are forever. Listen carefully to what I'm going to say next, please. You can change. You can achieve your goals. You can make it happen and be the person you want to be, the real you. Now, how can I say this with such conviction and certainty? Because if anyone can do it, you can do it too. It's that simple. Nobody is better than anyone else. Nobody is more gifted or has some kind of magic or luck that means change for them is easier than it is for you, or that it's more possible for them than it is for you. You need to hear this now and believe that you have as much potential, as much right to change as the person next to you. That is what I want you to take away right now and from today's episode. So through this episode and the next 3 through February, you're going to have your penny drop moment. And I talk about this a lot because this is the key point when you realise that you can do the things you want to do, to feel the way you want to feel. It's that penny drop when you think, yes, I can do that, I can have that, I can feel that. So the penny is going to drop for you, whether it's straight away in today's episode, which I hope it is, or most certainly by the end of February. And it's going to make you realise that you absolutely can feel and live the way you want. So are you ready to dive in to my story with me today? Now, I've not always felt like I was living a good life. And I used to worry about the worry that I had that I was wasting my life. I worried that I might not make it to the next day. Now, I know that sounds extreme, but this was my reality. For most of my adult life, I was worrying so much about not living that I just wasn't living, not properly anyway. I've had anxiety for more than 27 years, which meant I wasn't living with vitality, happiness, or really very much satisfaction. Feeling that way convinced me that there was something wrong with me and that I was flawed. And I really believed that nobody else in the world felt the way that I felt. I felt pretty trapped in my own mind. And feeling like this convinced me that, I wasn't good enough, that I wasn't like everyone else. I couldn't have a normal sort of life where I was just laid back and enjoying things and feeling happiness and, just doing whatever it was that came up, opportunities like speaking or meeting new people. It really did hold me back, feeling how I felt. And at the root of my anxiety was a significant fear of death. It was a phobia, essentially, and it still is. And it's pretty ironic that I was so scared of dying, it meant I wasn't actually living either. Okay, not the way that I should have been. But fast forward through those 27 years, and I finally feel like I'm in control of creating the life I want, and that right now I am living a great life. Not a good life, the one I used to wish I could live, but a great one. It's even better than what I could have possibly imagined. And I truly believe that we are all capable of living that life, the life we dream of. So, how did I manage to go from being at rock bottom on several occasions, having bouts of depression, overwhelm, experiencing burnout, even periods on medication to manage my depression or anxiety, to where I am now? I got clear about the way I wanted to live and why it mattered to me. I understood why living like that mattered and was important to me. So I really thought about what I wanted my life to be like, what goals I had, what were my dreams, my aspirations, my desires. And what was it that I wanted to put in place for both short-term and long-term goals for my life. I thought about what really did matter inside of me, what my values were, what me, Nicola, was about and how I wanted to be remembered when I got to the end of my life. And I really did take myself to the end and looked back on my life as it came to an end and thought about what would make me feel I'd lived a life that fulfilled me. And this was something, it's very deep and something I've worked through with the support of counselling and therapy far too much to dive right into and really explain it in the right way in this episode. But the way I felt, being so afraid of dying, and at the same time, because of that, not really living, I didn't see how my life could be any different. And so doing this exercise was very hard at first, because I felt as though all I could see was the reality of what I had. And that really upset me, that I didn't want to get to the end and see someone who had just managed to get through her days, who just managed to make the most of whatever she could, which, at the same time gave so much stress and negative emotion with it, and often quite a lot of hurt. So although this sounds deep, it's something that really does work. When you take yourself to what would be the end of your life, if you live a life as long as what you hope it, and most of us would like it to be, into old age, maybe into our 90s, and then you look back, that really does shine a light on who you are and what matters to you. Okay. And it's something that really does then support you getting clear on what matters to you and why that matters to you. Now, I had been pretty consistent in my life up to that point with goals, but they weren't really life goals. They were things I wished were different. And some of the things I had as goals, like travelling, that's always been one of my aspirations and dreams. Having a close family and enjoying time with my family. A lot of it was just like post-its on a pin board, for example. It was some kind of, out in front of me dream that didn't really drive me to do anything different. There wasn't really any change happening. I couldn't tear them up and throw them in the air like confetti, because I was celebrating the fact that I'd achieved them. So what I did was, through this exercise, ask myself lots of different whys and a few hows and whats too. Because then when you connect with your why and feel passion towards it, this is what will help you to plan out how you live your life, not just today, but in your future too. This is what really helps to keep you driven when your motivation drops, because motivation will drop. That's inevitable. It's life. This why is what will give you the momentum to set and achieve the goals you need to get to be able to get to that destination you're working towards. Now, willpower only goes so far, but what keeps you moving forward and makes sure that you are achieving your goals is motivation. And this, I know, comes from being anchored to that vision, that why. When you really picture it, you can not just see it, but you can feel it inside of you, and you know that this is where you're going towards. And this is what really does give you the motivation to work towards it. So I want you to try this, especially if you've already got changes in mind that you would like to make, or you've started out the year with determination to make those changes happen, and you've got goals, but you aren't making the progress that you want to. You know that you've already let January slip by. So take a pause and ask yourself why those changes and goals matter to you. That's the first question I want you to ask yourself. Now, if you want to come back to this, please do pause it, write these questions down, journal them, write it down onto your notes on your keypad, whatever you use. Do a bit of deep work on this, because it really does help, as you'll see what I'm about to share, to help you get the changes you want. So why these changes and goals matter to you is the first question, and then why is that important to you? So if, for example, you have said, I want to get fitter this year, I want to really work on being fit, and you've asked that first question, why this matters to you, and it's because you're struggling right now perhaps you've got kids or grandkids and you're really struggling with energy to keep up with them, and you would like to know that you're capable of running around with them and in the summer going to the beach or the park or on a holiday, whatever that might be. So that matters to you. And then why is that important? Okay, it's important that you can run around with them, but why is that important? So really get underneath that. And that could be because they are memories that you know you will treasure forever. You want your kids or grandkids to also have those memories. You have those special memories from your own childhood that are with you all of these tens and tens of years later. You want to know that you're providing those experiences and memories for your children. And keep asking yourself, why is that important? And say, well, because this is what my life's about. This is the whole purpose. I had kids and then they've had kids to be able to share these things together. And, so really get underneath why it's important to you. And then the next question is, why would it make a difference to your life and happiness? And be so real with yourself on this, whatever your goal or change is. Really be honest about what the difference is that will make. Because quite often what people start out with is something that is a goal, but it's not really the true result they're trying to get. Take weight loss, for example. Someone might say, I want to lose a certain amount of weight, especially if it's a larger amount of weight. I want to lose 4 stone, for example. Why? Someone might say, why do you want to lose that? Oh, well, because I just know that I would feel better. But when you really get deep with these kinds of questions, it often brings out something else. And it might be that you're really struggling with your confidence because of how you feel with your weight. And that's holding you back at work, and you're letting other people jump ahead of you and their salaries are going up. They're getting more interesting projects to work on. Maybe they've been put in charge of a team or something, and you've held yourself back because you're lacking in self-belief, self-worth and confidence because of your weight. So quite often the goal you think is to lose weight, but when you really get underneath this, it's about confidence. And then why is it that that confidence matters to you? Why is getting that job important to you? And that could be because you're unhappy going in to do the job you're doing every day isn't fulfilling you. It's not giving you motivations. Every day feels so long and draining. You feel like you're just caught in this cycle of work, home, chores, work, home, chores kind of thing. And you really can then get clear on why that would be so different to your life and your happiness if you were to get that job. Hopefully this is making sense. And if you work through this yourself, you'll really start to see the lights come on with these kind of questions. But if you struggle with these questions, I want you to flip them and ask yourself instead, what do I not want my life to look like? So if you're really stuck with, okay, I don't even really know what I need to change, I just know that I don't feel happy, that things are quite hard in my life right now and it has been for some time and I don't feel great. Maybe you've just got those kinds of thoughts and feelings, but you don't know specifically what it is you want to change and work on. Instead, ask yourself, what do I not want my life to look like? Because sometimes it's much easier when we come at it from a negative place and the way we're probably feeling right now, because that's probably what you're going to give as the answer for that. You might ask that question, say, I don't want my life to look like one where it's a struggle, where I have no energy, where I don't interact with many people, I don't enjoy my work and the work's time is the majority of my life. I don't want to get to the end of my life and know that all my life consisted of was working to earn a wage slip and that money was gone every month and there was nothing left to bring pleasure and joy and memories and special times with special people. That can be a very strong way to get the same result as I've given with the why questions, okay? So this is the starting point to taking small steps forward towards your goals. It's the beginning of creating an action plan to gradually make the changes that need to happen. Because if you've been listening to the podcast or you follow me on social media, you know that I'm all about small steps. Because once you know what you want your life to be like, and then you're living with that in clear sight, taking small steps towards that ultimate vision, you're going to feel the impact very quickly. When you have these positive feelings, it breeds more positivity, optimism, joy and happiness. And these tiny steps compound together to create big ripple effects. Now, for me, when I finally got clear on this, and just to know that my why has evolved through the past few years too, from where I very first started out when I did this exercise around 7 years ago, I've developed the way I'm able to answer those questions through the years as I've done more personal development and mindset work on myself. But when I finally got clear on it, it meant that I was making decisions from a place of purpose and certainty. It wasn't just about, oh God, I should lose weight, or I should eat better, or I should drink less alcohol, or I should get a better job. It wasn't from that kind of mindset. It was certainty. It was, I want my life to be like this. And that is important to me because that's who I am. That's what I want from my life and for myself. That's the purpose bit, a purpose and certainty. Now, it wasn't that I was suddenly going to the gym because I'd eaten a pizza on a weekend. It changed the shift. I had been going to the gym for those reasons. It was kind of a sticky plaster over another problem. I was trying to rectify eating the pizza on a weekend. I was now going because I wanted to be a person who felt healthy and wasn't ill all of the time, which was something I was really struggling with for many years. Now, when I stopped starting some new diet every Monday, it wasn't because I'd resigned myself to eating whatever I wanted and not caring about my weight and how I felt. It was because I now wanted to enjoy my food and know what I was eating, and that what I was putting into my body was supporting good health and contributing to things like sleeping better and being less stressed and feeling comfortable in my body and liking who I was. Now, my why is still driving me every day, more than ever, to be quite honest, especially now being a business owner and a coach. It's what has enabled me to move from having to force myself to remember to do certain things, like remembering to drink lots of water, or remembering to go to the gym, or remembering to be kind to myself, to now having them flow in my life as a very natural part of who I am. And those things are my superpower. They're my habits. This exercise on why is something I do with all of my clients when they first start working with me. And we go into this very deep, much deeper than I'm giving you now, obviously, you know, what I'm able to do on the podcast. We get really crystal clear on what their why is, because without this, you would be trying to fast track yourself to the top of the mountain without the training or the right gear you need to reach the top. And this is why right now, only 20% of you are still aligned and sticking to the New Year's resolutions that you set a few weeks ago. And in a Forbes article that was published just a few weeks ago, it cited that 80% on average of people ditch their New Year's resolutions completely by February. And in a different article, also from the US, it claimed that only 9% of people stick to their resolutions through the full year. Only 9%. That means 91% of people fail on the things that they set out the new year wanting to change and do differently and achieve. So it's time right now to stop trying and do instead. Now, I've been there, setting out each new year with determination and willpower and grit, thinking that I could lose weight, wanting to lose weight, wanting to be happier, drink less alcohol, sort my relationship out, get confident at work. But I've also been, most years, in that 80% who by the time February arrives haven't just given up, but have forgotten what they actually wanted to change. And for me, it was just, I got lost in feeling crappy, being busy, telling myself, I was just who I was. Those things I had in my mind 31st of December or 1st of January as I set the resolutions were distant memories, in all honesty. But now I'm here on this podcast, running my own business, helping other people to build healthier, happier lives. I'm speaking in public on what I believe in and am passionate about. I'm sharing my story of how I've changed and am now at a completely different place in my life. And so I want to shout it out even louder. If I can change, then so can you. I probably didn't quite need to say it in that type of voice, a little bit school teacherish, but I just want to shout it like, if I can change, then so can you. Believe that. Right now, whatever day you're listening to this, hopefully it is on the 7th of February when it's just been released and you were waiting, subscribe to get the episode come to you. I want you to get clear on your why so that you too can share your story and inspire someone else to believe in themselves and create the changes they want for happiness. Now, I don't want you to think that I'm sitting here telling you that everything in my life is the way I want it to be, because not every part of my life is all rosy and perfect. Finish line crossed, job done. There is no finish line. You know how much I love to use my little Nike slogans, and that's one of my favourite. It isn't about getting to a finish line and that's it. Everything you wanted, you now have, and you can just breathe and go back to normal. Something that we never really think about, but I want you to hear this as well, is that habits are only habits whilst you're doing them. As soon as you stop, they're not habits. A habit is something that you are repeatedly and consistently doing, and you're doing them with ease as well. They become a part of who you are. They work from your subconscious. Health and happiness aren't found and then you have them forever. You have them while you're making them happen. So yes, my life has changed so much, and I can honestly say that I am happy with where I am right now. But that's because I know that I'm on the right path. I haven't reached an end point. I haven't reached and crossed a finish line. I'm on a path and I'm moving through the journey of my life the way that I want to. I feel that I've got clarity on who I am, what I'm about, what matters to me, what I want my legacy to be. And it's that clarity which has turned my life around so that I'm no longer fearful, overwhelmed, stressed and believing I'm worthless. Instead, I know my value and worth, and I believe in myself, and I feel happy because I am taking small steps every day to create the life I dream of. And that creation isn't, one-dimensional. It's not that it's done and then I've got it. I'm creating something which is never ending. It's an ongoing journey. And the special part of it is that I realised happiness can be felt every day on that journey, through that journey. Happiness wasn't the end goal. The end goal is something else. The end goal is, whatever those things are I've got that I'm working towards. But those things are making my life right now a great, happy life. And that's the key thing. You pin your happiness on having that thing which is so far out into the future. You compare yourselves to others, you judge yourself against others. You think that when you have that thing, that's what will bring you the happiness and the fulfillment and the success that you want. And actually, it isn't that. And that is what is so much more enlightening and exciting than what I ever imagined, and why the life I'm living now is so much better than I ever wished for, because I wished for the end, I wished for a result. And actually the result is not the thing that brings you your happiness and strength along the way. When you start to value yourself and take care of yourself, and you build your self-worth and self-love and self-belief and all of those lovely empowering self-words that you hear, self-compassion is a huge one. they all have that ripple effect of helping you to feel good, to feel strong, and want to take care of yourself even more, want to take steps towards the things that matter to you and you want to achieve. And all of that compounds itself into living a life that gives you joy, happiness, fulfillment, all of those things that right now you're struggling with. And that's what you're going to hear over the next 3 episodes as well, about how real people, you can take steps. And I just know that you are going to enjoy those stories from the special guests I've got coming up. I hope you've really enjoyed a bit of my story. You know, I'm not going to go right into what it is I do that makes me happy. If you follow me on Instagram or LinkedIn or Facebook, you'll know who I am, how I live, what it is that fills me up, why I now feel the way that I do. I've been very open talking about my anxiety, my struggles with low self-belief, worth and confidence. I've shared a lot on that. I never talked about that when I was in corporate. All of those years, I hid that with shame. Only since working on myself, on my mindset, and realising as I started to get healthier, how I felt, and starting to see that they were very important, other things that I needed to also work on to improve and make a big part of my life, to get an even greater sense of health and well-being and happiness. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's episode and that you're excited for the rest of February and our special stories about real life, real people, real change, and what real health and wellness is all about. Have a great rest of your day, and I look forward to having you back on the podcast very soon. Take care.